Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. How's everyone doing? This video is brought to you by my newest patron on Patreon, and Xavier, who is an insane motherfucker because he gave me $100 on Patreon. And the first video he wanted me to make is my top 10 anime. Now, with that being said, this is not an exhaustive list of my top 10 favorite anime. These are just the top 10 anime that have kind of stuck with me throughout the years. And there will be anime that, that maybe should have been on the list but aren't on the list. So don't fucking crucify me. I might do another top 10 anime list at some point, on this fucking channel. So let's just get some honorable mentions out of the way. The first honorable mention I want to bring up is JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. And the reason why it's an honorable mention is because of the fact that it's super goofy, but also has some serious moments. But it just, it's not one of my top 10 overall favorite anime. It's in my top 20, and it would probably be number 11. But this is my fucking list. Number 2, The Big O. It would probably be right behind JoJo's, tied for fucking 11. And I'm sure people would be like, why isn't The Big O higher up on the list? You have obscure fucking anime, but you don't have The Big O. And trust me, I really love The Big O. The Big O is one of my all-time favorite anime. But this is just, again, one of the top 10 anime lists that I'll probably do on this fucking channel or have done on this fucking channel. So don't fucking crucify me. Let's think. My Hero Academia, some people might think it should be on the list, but I honestly like the manga more than like the anime. And the anime has been going a lot longer than the anime, so. And there's some, nitpicky stuff about the anime. But again, it'd probably be in line for, number 11 on my 20 fucking anime. My favorite anime of of all time. And it probably would be number 10 on or number 1 on a bunch of other, singular lists of favorite shonen anime. And Big O would probably be number 1 on my top 10 favorite mecha anime and what have you. So let's get to the list. Also, there's another anime that's not getting an honorable mention, but I will mention at some point during the fucking video. So, number 10, G Gundam. Also, I forgot to say this beforehand. Some of these anime are anime that I never finished from start to finish. And that's mainly because I only really watched them when they were on TV, and I haven't been able to get them on DVD or Blu-ray to watch them from start to finish. But they are anime that have been very influential and have stuck with me over the many, many, many fucking years of my life. G Gundam is an example of that. I've never watched it from start to finish. And that's why it's number 10 on this fucking list. But yeah, it's really good anime. Uh, it's super goofy, but also has a serious twinge to it with some things. Domon is trying to search for his brother and the whole. But it's at its core, it's an outrageous mecha series that have stereotypical mecha designs. For fuck's sakes, there is a goddamn there's a literal windmill Gundam. There's a fucking mummy Gundam piloted by a real fucking mummy. There is a fucking horse Gundam because of Master Asia's fucking horse. I shit you not. Those are real fucking things. I'm not even gonna get into the fucking weird Shuffle Alliance shit that gets on in the is later on in the fucking series, because that shit's also fucking weird. The American, because these are all of the countries are like in space now and warring on the fucking planet. The American Gundam is a fucking boxer. It's a boxer Gundam. It's called Maxter, but it has mecha fucking boxing gloves, and the pilot of it is Chibity Crockett. I'm not making that the fuck up. That is real. Number 9 on this list is Saint Seiya, otherwise known as Knights of the Zodiac. And again, haven't watched from start to finish because of it being, a Saturday morning cartoon, and I was really bad at watching consistently anime shows. But the main character is his armor. It's about people having all these different armors that are based on ancient Greek shit. The main one is Pegasus, but the fucking armors are weird. The armors are super, super duper fucking weird. So, yeah. Also, one of the more notable things about this anime is that it had I Ran So Far Away, a cover of it as its opening. I'm not making that up. That is a real fucking thing. The English opening was A Flock of Seagulls cover. But yeah, ancient Greek shit is always good. Number 8, High School DxD. I'm sure some people will be fucking pissed off that this is on my fucking list of top 10 anime, but it honestly is one of the funnier anime I've watched. Because it revolves around a pervert, and it deals with demons and angels, and the main character's power is doubling. And the greatest thing about the show is that it doesn't take itself too seriously. But it has some really good fights. And I'll just go out and say right fucking now, DBZ is nowhere on this fucking list. And this is mainly because it's too fucking dumb. And people are like, what? Why is fucking High School DxD on this fucking list, but, fucking DBZ isn't? And it's mainly because High School DxD has never taken itself seriously. It was always a wacky, zany, fan-servicey fucking anime, whereas DBZ, there were serious moments that later on meant fucking nothing. It, went from being kind of a serious-ish series to, death is fucking meaningless. It just turned me off of that entire fucking series. Also, the main character, as I said, is a fucking pervert, but he has redeeming factors. Like, he actually cares about his comrades and friends, and he wants to protect them. But again, he's a fucking pervert, and everybody knows he's a pervert and takes the piss out of him for it. His the weapon he has is I think it's called the Sacred Gear. It's on his arm, and it's sentient. It talks to him and can be heard by other people. And there's a scene in the fucking anime, and I'm talking about all of the series of this anime, not just the first season, but all 3 seasons and the 4th season that's coming up. He fucking because it's a dragon is basically because the whole he's like the Dragon King or whatever the fuck it is. He even says, "I can't believe I'm being used by a fucking pervert." He doesn't say those words, but that's the fucking tenor of what he's saying, and that's great. It's super just wacky zany shit. Number 7, and also I've watched all of the seasons of that show, and I plan on watching the 4th season, which is coming up soon. Number 7, Ronin Warriors, which has a Japanese name, but I don't know what the fuck it is. Like Saint Seiya and G Gundam. Never watched it from start to finish, but I did watch a fair amount of it. But it sticks in. It's one of those anime that sticks in your brain because it's basically what the story. People have inherited these armors. It's kind of like Saint Seiya in that sense, and it's like this. It's basically these armors are used to fight the evil guy whose name is Talpa. And he has his own Ronin warriors who are evil, but they're also somehow part of the good guys. It's weird. You know, I'm just doing all this shit from memory. It's super weird. It's super, super duper strange. But it has a white tiger in it, and the white tiger eventually gets armor, and then the human owner of the tiger also is able to use the lion's armor. It's fucking weird, but it's awesome. Number 6, Yu Yu Hakusho. And if you don't know about Yu Yu Hakusho, I feel sorry for you. Never finished it. I got to a certain point in the anime, but I never, because the fucking show is like 100 and something fucking episodes. And all of it never really got released in America until later on. So I got to about when he faces the Toguro brothers and all that shit in like the Demon Realm or whatever the fuck. But it's kind of a standard shonen anime. But it's had a kind of a cult following. Yusuke Urameshi, standard delinquent piece of shit. He gets a second chance at life because he dies, and then Botan, who's like the Grim Reaper, who sits on a broom or paddle thing, like, she gives him a second chance, or I forget if it's him, or if he gets a second chance because of the fucking kid person that shows up early on in the series. I'm doing this shit from fucking memory, alright? Don't crucify me, please, alright? And there's a whole egg thing. Like, his body almost gets fucking incinerated, which is, I'm not making that up, that's a part of the early series thing. But he gets, he has the spirit gun, then he gets a spirit shotgun, and then he gets other shit. He also gets friends or acquaintances because, he's got Kuwabara, the fucking pompadour, delinquent fuck, who kind of hates, Yusuke, and then becomes his friend. He has a fire sword, and no, I'm not making that up, that's a real fucking thing. So there's Hiei, who is a demon, who has a third eye right in the smack dab of his fucking head. He has a whole fucking thing. Kurama, who is a fox demon inhabiting a human. That's a whole fucking thing. And Hiei and Kurama are working together at certain points in the fucking beginning of the series, and fucking whole other thing. And yeah, it's a fucking good series. You should watch it, and I need to watch it. And Toguro, I mentioned him. There's the big beefy guy Toguro. Then there's the wiry older brother who is a transformation thing that turns into a sword or something in the tournament arc, and it's weird. Also, the opening's pretty cool. Because, like Sailor Moon, which also should have been on my list, but it would be in my top 20. And if I could reorganize the list, but like Sailor Moon, it has both a Japanese opening and an English opening, and the English opening is just the Japanese opening, but sung in English. Which is pretty fucking cool, which I only noticed with the DVD. Number 5. We're in the home stretch. Number 5. FMA. I'm gonna lump in FMA with Conqueror of Shambhala, which is a movie in the series. The original FMA anime, I watched that from start to finish. It's really good. Brotherhood is better, but I haven't watched all of Brotherhood, and it's newer, and Brotherhood never really had an impact on me as the original FMA. And I actually own Conqueror of Shambhala on DVD. And Conqueror of Shambhala is weird as a movie because it takes the whole thing of like at the end of the movie, or at the end of the series, I think, because I think the movie takes place after the series. Edward gets transported to mid-30s Germany. And that's where Conquer Shambhala mostly takes place. It's like he's trying to find a way back to Shambhala, whatever the fuck where the original FMA takes place. Some weird continent, some weird world, what have you. So, yeah, Edward is in this in our world, but in his eyes, it's an alternate world. And you see Hitler. Hitler shows up in Conquer Shambhala, which is weird, but not that weird because the whole Fuhrer King Bradley thing is a fucking thing in the original anime. So obviously, it takes place it takes place generally in where Germany would be. Also, there in the original FMA, there's a hint of massacres of people, like what the Germans did. That's what happened to Scar's people. Scar's people got fucking wiped out. That's why he has such a fucking hard-on for the state and wanting to destroy the entire fucking state. But yeah, you see Hitler. Mace Hughes is with Hitler for like it's in like one of his beer hall speeches. Like he shows up briefly as one of the Nazis, and then like Ed turns him against Hitler or whatever the fuck, and it's weird, strange. And you go back to wherever whatever the fucking reality that Alphonse is in, and he's got his whole body. That's a fucking thing. He gets his normal body back instead of being in the fucking armor. That's a whole fucking thing. And that's why throughout the entirety of FMA they're trying to get the Philosopher's Stone is to get basically Edward wants to just get Alphonse's body back, but like because Edward is not, he doesn't care that he's missing his arm and his leg. He wants to get Alphonse's real body back because he bound him to a fucking suit of armor. But yeah, super fucking weird movie, super weird anime. Number 4. I'm sure people are surprised that FMA isn't higher up on the list, but whatever. Number 4, Akame ga Kill, which is a series I actually watched from start to finish. And this show, the basic premise of the show is this kid from the fucking boonies goes to the capital trying to become a hero and do a lot of things. He goes there with his friends. His friends, I think, disappear. He's looking for them. Finds them in this like weird torturous dungeon place. That's him. That's the spark of him becoming a part of Night Raid, which is a band of assassins. And he doesn't necessarily want to kill, but he wants to get revenge. And he becomes friends with Night Raid and works with them, and becomes super close friends with them. And there are soul crushing fucking deaths. Like, there's some brutal fucking deaths in the show. Like, holy shit. Like, there's a fucking decapitation in this fucking anime. And it's fucked. They're just brutal as fuck. And it super breaks the main character, but it also pushes them forward to get the aim, just to overthrow the government, the corrupt government, which they eventually do at a cost. And you'll see that if you watch the show. 3, Another. This show is brutally fucked up. And I'm a big fan of brutally fucked up anime. I'm also a fan of comedy anime. But I'm a main fan of like just brutality up the ass. And Another takes it to another fucking level. Because the basic story of Another is this town is cursed, and there's the school's cursed, and then this class is cursed, and people have died since basically memory of this town. It's been generations for this shit to happen. And just kids die throughout the year, and the way they found to stymie the deaths from happening is to ignore one student. And that one student is the main female lead. But the main male lead doesn't know this at the beginning of the series and starts talking to her, so they ignore both her and him. And that doesn't work, so they just say, fuck it, we acknowledge who you are now. It's really weird because the way they act through in the beginning of the series, you don't know if this fucking girl is a ghost or if he's just hallucinating this girl. But it comes about like, yeah, she's a real girl. And throughout the series, brutal deaths. Brutal as fuck. Like an umbrella through the front of the neck, out the back, through the fucking neck. A kid having an aneurysm because they like, we'll just flee the city, and we will be spared from this shit. Kid has an aneurysm, brewing in his head, doesn't know about it. Flies. They drive out to this beach. He's swimming. Aneurysm pops or whatever the fuck is in it. Blood vessel pops in his head. So he's just, he's basically dead in the water. Gets hit by a fucking boat and just torn to shreds. One of the other deaths is, I do believe it's a bulldozer. Oh, no, it might have been a crane, because I think the wrecking ball just crashes into this girl's house and just smears the shit out of her older brother. That fucking happens. That's brutal as fuck. It's bad. It's super duper bad. If you don't like graphic violence or disturbing imagery, don't watch another because it'll fuck you up. And also, the ending. I'm not going to spoil the twist. I'll talk about the deaths, but I won't spoil the twist at the end. It's pretty. It's a mind fuck. But if you're paying attention, you can kind of see it. But it's interesting. Number 2 is Grave of the Fireflies. Now, some of you may know what Grave of the Fireflies is. Some of you may not. Grave of the Fireflies is an animated movie from, I want to say, the 80s that is animated by Studio Ghibli. And you may know Studio Ghibli because it's the studio that animated all of the Miyazaki films. This movie is... I did a video about it early on in this channel. Or not early on in this channel, but earlier in my video catalog. I think maybe a couple of years ago. And it is soul crushingly fucked. It's not as bloody and gory as another or Origami Got Kill. This is literally just it breaks your fucking soul. It really does. Edible Napalm, Matt, has said this, and I echoed the second sentiment because he mentioned it with regards to 12 Years a Slave as a movie you only have to see once. And it is a movie you only have to see once. Because it will stick with you for the rest of your fucking days. The basic premise, the way the anime movie starts, the way this movie starts, is the main character fucking dies. That's how that movie starts. And it doesn't get better. It gets worse. Because it goes back, it's basically he's having his life is flashing before his eyes. And it gets fucking bad. I don't want to spoil it, but this fucking movie broke me. It broke me for weeks afterwards, and it broke me during me watching it. I had to take 30-minute breaks between me watching the movie because it fucking just depressed the fuck out of me. And I'm already someone with depression, and this hit me super duper hard. Seriously. Watch it, but be prepared for soul crushingly fucked up things to happen. I'll just say this. The main character has a younger sister. That's all I'll say. Again, just be prepared when you watch The Grave of the Fireflies. Be prepared for soul death. Unless you're a sociopath, in which you won't fucking care, in which case, I don't know what to fucking tell you. But yeah, just... And number one is Cowboy Bebop. My number one anime in this top 10 list is Cowboy Bebop. And the reason it's number one is because it has had a large impact on my life. I have become a lifelong fan of Yoko Kanno, who's done many different anime. She's composed for many different anime. But she's most known for Cowboy Bebop and I want to say Ghost in the Shell, the standalone complex. Which, her music is really good. But The music is probably one of the most iconic things about Cowboy Bebop, because the opening is called Tank, and it's super jazzy, and I love it. It's one of the reasons why I fell in love with Japanese jazz and just jazz in general. Uh, because after this, I looked for other Japanese jazz bands, and I came upon Soil and Pimp Sessions, which is another good jazz band. But yeah, just the beginning of the song is just like 3, 2, 1, let's jam. Like it's a super iconic theme. It's great. It's super great. Um, the basic story, if you don't already know it, starts off with Jet and Spike, who are bounty hunters, just trying to subsist. Just trying to survive in the universe, and they are on the Bebop. And throughout the series, they come in contact with Radical Edward, Faye Valentine, and probably one of the most iconic characters of the series, Ein. Ein is a dog. Ein is a corgi. Ein is a genetic data dog, basically, is what the fuck Ein is. It's such a cultural icon. In RWBY, they named the dog Zwei because and he's also a corgi, or a dog that looks like a corgi. I'm not sure if it's like officially a corgi, but yeah, that's iconic. Like it inspired other things, and they all have it's a ragtag crew, but they all you know Spike in the early show is just like I hate kids and I hate living with women. I hate dogs. I hate kids and I hate women. And they just pick up these three fucking people that he doesn't like. These three types of people that he doesn't like. Three types of things. Because Ein's a dog, which is not a person, but whatever. And the dog even has a fucking personality. But yeah, it's fucking great. Um, they all have their own stories. Faye has a pretty interesting story. She was frozen and then brought back to the land of the living. Spike was an enforcer for the Red Dragon Triad or whatever the fuck they're called. He fought alongside uh, Vicious, and they had he had a love interest whose name is Julia, and he's missing one of his eyes. One of his eyes is fake. He can still see through it, but it's a fake eye. And they're different colors, and there's a whole philosophical thing that's said about it. Jet is a former cop, former space cop. Edward is a fucking hacker. And I forgot how they meet Edward throughout the series, but they fucking, And, one of the most iconic, aside from the music and the characters and the art style, Spike uses Jeet Kune Do, which is the martial art created by Bruce Lee. Also, one of the more iconic thing is Spike's ship, the Swordfish. It's one of the few anime that hasn't had a live action adaptation. Because Death Note has had how many? Gintama has had a movie. Sort of the Blade of the Immortal has had an anime, a live action movie. Guyver had a live action movie that was made in America that wasn't that terrible. JoJo, and I think people are pretty protective of it. So, yeah, that is one of my top 10 anime. And again, this was brought to you by and Xavier over on my Patreon for being a fucking insane person, for giving me $100. If you would want to join him in giving me money, which, maybe you would want to, you can go donate. You can become a patron on my Patreon. It's patreon.com/resonators, and a link will be in the description box below. I also have a Cash Me, which is on my Twitter. It's cash.me/money symbol resonatorzen. I think that's what the link is. If you just want to do like a one-off donation, you don't want to make me make movies, make videos, or what have you. But thank you for watching this movie. Tell me if you like it. Thumbs it up, thumbs it down, share it around. Share it on Twitter, Facebook, Bebo if you have it, or, Venmo, or fucking wherever else you share things. Thank you for watching. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.